if they really want to start some work papers are nothing but process documents. And if an auditor wants to test any type of control, he needs to go through the work papers. So work papers are basically some type of design documents or process documents for the auditor, so that they can refer and see how the testing needs to happen, everything. So basically, how exactly it goes is like, when you start understanding the design during the walkthroughs, you will start understanding the design right from the scratch, right from like what exactly is their flow, how the ticket is being raised, then where the approval goes to, then once they approve it, who are the authorized approvers who normally approves the ticket, then on what basis access has been provided to a particular user. Is there any criteria to validate that you admin level access needs to be given or normal user level access needs to be given? All these things are being understood right from the scratch, understanding the design, and parallelly we document in a particular Word document with the help of some screenshots as well, so that any other person who would like to look at that particular process document or the work paper will not should not have any kind of doubts in his mind, saying that where means like if he refers that particular document, he should be able to understand what exactly he has to do without any kind of support. So that is the reason work papers are designed. And then once you design the work paper, you understand the design, you send that document to the client as well, because they are the people who can validate that whether whatever we have understood is it correct or not. If they give a thumbs up to it, then your manager will review it, and once your manager is fine with the language that is being used in that particular documentation, everything he's satisfied, then you can put that particular document as an artifact. When you further move to the testing part, you will refer that document to see what kind of samplings would be required, what are attributes, what are test procedures, everything will refer from the work paper. So basically, work paper as a format, as I told you yesterday, whenever you prepare this work paper, you will first have this control name, activity, WP reference number. What is the control name all about? Access provisioning, deprovisioning. With the reference number will be given by the project. Any kind of standard terminology like a reference number, saying that if someone says we are testing 001, they might understand, okay, you're referring to access provisioning, 002 access deprovisioning. Those kind of reference number will be taken and given. Then the definition, what exactly is all about, what is this work paper all about, the access provisioning, how often the control occurs. As I told you, frequency is nothing but whether you are doing this particular testing once in a month, once in two months, once in 3 months, or once in 4 months. It is not fixed like access provisioning you have to do it in monthly basis, or user access review you have to do in quarterly basis. It totally depends upon the population that we have. So whenever as an internal auditor you take the evidences, you see the population list. For example, if you start right from April, and you start testing it, once the month of April is being completed, you want to do a user access provisioning control test on a monthly basis. If you are being assigned 40 applications or 40 applications, you are assigned as an internal auditor, and you are being given the responsibility of testing access provisioning and deprovisioning, then you have to ensure that you touch base with them. The work papers would be there in place. Then you have to understand that how many months, like every month, how many users are getting created. If 5 6 users are getting created, it doesn't require you to test every month, because 6 users, where you will do the sampling. You have to test the entire population. It's rather better you wait for another 2 3 4 months, where you have a good population, and then you can select, do the sampling, everything you can do within that particular population as well. So in this way you will decide like what would be the frequency of that particular control to be tested, either once in 3 months or once in 4 months, because it's not only one application you are going to test, so that you have extra bandwidth as well. You are going to have to test it for 40 applications, because you are a responsible person for internal auditor for 40 applications for access provisioning and deprovisioning. So you have to prioritize your work accordingly. So not every application you can do it on a monthly basis. So all these things you will decide based on the population that you have. Then when the control activity occurs, whether you have to do it in the start of the month or end of the month. So most of the things you have to do towards the end of the month once you have the entire list. Who is going to perform the control and who is going to review the control? Means like either who you are the person who is going to perform this testing and your manager or lead would be going to review that particular testing. What would be the sample size you will be selecting? So every project has a understanding that how many sample size you guys need to be selected, whether it is 25 samples. They have a kind of sampling kind of a sampling technique as well, saying that out of if the number of users are 150, we are going to select 10, 20 samples or 25 samples. Those kind of process they have. So you need to understand that from the project, like what kind of sampling technique we are using it, how we are doing the sampling. Then attributes. What are the attributes of this particular access provisioning? Conclusion, test procedures. Test procedure is nothing but how you are going to perform this testing. So you will refer to that work paper. Based on that, you'll come to know how you are going to perform this testing. Then results and evidences. What would be the results and what are the evidences you are going to collect as part of this particular testing? All these things are the format of the work paper. All these things are the format of the work paper. As I showed you a previous work paper wherein you have all these particular format: test procedures, results, evidence, attributes, samples, everything you have that part of that particular format. So it's not only necessary that it would be in the form of an Excel work paper, it can also be in the form of a Word document as well. So it totally depends upon the project, how the work paper should look like. Whether they want to create it in an Excel, they can create it in an Excel. If they want to create it in a work paper in a form of a Word document, they can put it in a form of a Word document. So basically, this is like what a work paper is all about. Now, today, since towards the end of the session, we are going to see few work papers and a few test of design documents as well. I'm going to show you how the work papers looks like and the test of design documents as well. Before that, we will discuss exactly what exactly is a walkthrough process. So basically, walkthrough is nothing but it is a step-by-step inspection of the project or work area with an eye towards identifying and correcting unsafe or potentially unsafe conditions. It is done to understand the policy and procedures, understand the environment, risk associated with it, and controls applied to mitigate those risks. So basically, walkthrough plays a very important role in an auditor's life, because an auditor is being given the responsibility of auditing any kind of environment. It doesn't matter whether it's an Oracle environment, it doesn't matter whether it's in Windows environment or it's a Linux environment. It doesn't matter. He has to audit in every environment. And basically, he has to start from the layman point of view, any audit. So it does not, he does not if you have some kind of technical knowledge as a background, that would be really fine. If you don't have it, that is also fine. But basic thing is that you know your process as an auditor. From a technical perspective, you need to understand what exactly is their process. Based on that, you need to set some guidelines, like how exactly you are going to go about. For example, if Mahesh or Naveen is being assigned individual projects, saying that they both are responsible as an internal auditor for say 2-3 applications. Okay, so the very first thing, so if someone asks Mahesh or Naveen saying that we don't have anything, any work paper we don't have, so you need to design these work papers, and you need to see that the work papers are designed, and then you need to start testing these particular controls as well. So the very first thing Naveen or Mahesh has to start is like to understand things from the very scratch. The very first thing they need to understand, okay, so what exactly we are being assigned to? Okay, access provisioning, deprovisioning, right? Access provisioning, deprovisioning, we need to prepare the design work papers of access provisioning and deprovisioning. Now, we need to first touch base with the stakeholder or the control owner, saying that who is the right person who is going to provide us the information. So you need to set up a call with that particular person, and you need to understand, you need to ask him to give a overview of that particular application. So once he gives an overview of the application, what exactly it does, so what are the day-to-day responsibilities you do with an application, you will understand like, okay, so since you are an ITGC auditor, for you is like access provisioning and deprovisioning. You will understand step by step once it gives you an overview of that application, saying that this particular application is being used for so and so things and all that stuff. He starts saying is, then he will say that on a day-to-day basis our employees open that particular application, do these kind of responsibilities. Immediately you will have that in mind, saying that okay, then users are getting created over here, because employees are using that particular application, in the sense means they are using that application because their user is been created over there. Then you are going to ask him, once his overview has been completed, you will ask him, okay, so are we creating users in it? Yes. Okay. So then access provisioning is applicable. Then okay. Then second thing, access deprovisioning. So if you are creating users, you are deleting users as well. Then the deprovisioning is also applicable. Then slowly you will ask him, okay, are we logging into the application using a password, or it is a single sign-on? He'll say password. Okay. Then password settings policy is also applicable. Then user access review is also applicable by default, since access provisioning and deprovisioning is also applicable. Then are there any super users in it? Saying that are there only normal users who are working, or there are people who have special level of access as well, like admin level of access? Yes, there are. Then slowly the high privilege access or super user access is also applicable. Are we making any changes to the application? Yes. Are we raising any change request? Yes, we are raising it. Means the change management process is also applicable. So slowly, once he gives you an overview, you will try to understand what are the things applicable from an ITGC point of view. Since you are being given the responsibility of designing the work papers only for access provisioning and deprovisioning, you will focus only on access provisioning and deprovisioning. Now, since you know access provisioning and deprovisioning is applicable, the very first thing you will ask, like, okay, do you have any design document where you have a document explaining the offboarding and onboarding of employees, saying that whenever a employee comes in, what are the process you follow? Do you have a design document for that? They will say yes, we have a design document, because every project has a design document kind of a thing. Can you please forward us that particular document? And once you go through that particular document, you will get to understand, okay, what is the flow, because you will have that screenshots, you will know like which ticketing tool they are using, all these things. Then you will ask him like, okay, do you have any users uh, mm, where you can create some in front of us by sharing the screen, so that can have a look. So once he shares you the screen, you can take some screenshots there itself and try to see like, okay, a user is getting created by using this particular application. Okay. The second thing you'll come to know, okay, once the user is created, the form is been filled and submitted, it goes for approval. Who are the authorized people who are approving this particular request? Okay, these are the people. Okay, you will note down their names and you'll take those screenshots as well as part of the design. So once the screenshots are taken, then it will goes to the application team or control owner. So what the application team will do is they will review the entire application which request which comes to them. Based on that, they will provide the access. So on what basis they are providing the access? Is it a role-based access? Like if someone's designation is team member, he'll be given normal access. If someone's designation is lead or manager, he'll be given manager level of access, admin level of access. So what basis they fill their criteria? So then you will again ask that control owner or application owner, you will have whether you have that design document as well. Any role-based design document is there. So once you asked it, you go through it, they explain you, you see it through your eyes. Then you will try to fill that in that particular form in the form of a documentation. So slowly you are trying to take the entire test of design cycle, where you are just trying to understand each and everything, and then you are putting that in the form of a Word document. So once everything is been prepared, where now you know like access provisioning, if at all I need to test, this is the process that I need to follow. Then what you do is you simply show that document which you have prepared with the help of screenshots, written documentation, everything, to your particular manager or a lead, where he will review it and see what you have worked for. Once they approve it, then that particular documentation will be used for access provisioning. So basically, whenever this is what like a walkthrough process is. So walkthrough process in an auditor's life takes time, takes whenever you're first trying to understand the design. The second thing, whenever an external auditor comes, as I told you, like at the end of the year, after this December, January starts, external auditor start coming into the companies, wherein they will try to see what internal auditor has done till now, and they'll try to see that within these 3 months they will also audit from an external point of view and see that everything is being followed as per the process. Later they will certify you. So whenever an external auditor comes, as I told you, that the very first point of contact would be internal auditor only. External auditor will not talk to the any application owner or control owner directly. Any call needs to be set up, he will connect with the internal auditor, then the internal auditor will make sure that everything is being arranged. If an external auditor needs a walkthrough, internal auditor will be a coordinator between the application owner or control owner and the external auditor. So he'll be a coordinator kind of a role. Internal auditor will play a coordinator kind of a role where both the parties meet in a particular call, and they will try to ask some questions, and based on that they will try to ask for evidences, and they exchange those evidences, keeping internal auditor in loop. So that is one where a walkthrough process is also be given. Now, basic, as I told you, what exactly is a policy? Policy is nothing but a set of standard guidelines that outline the organization goal to tackle an issue. Procedure is nothing but a specific action to carry out the policy. So one of the interviewer did ask me, Santosh, can you please tell me what is the difference between a policy and procedure? So that is the reason I put that definition over here. Then basically, what is the objective of the walkthrough? As I told you, the basic objective of the walkthrough is to understand the design. So as I told you, so as we take an example of Naveen and Mahesh being assigned few applications, and they are an internal auditor for that application. The very first thing, whenever they visit a stakeholder or a control owner, what they do is they do inquiry. What inquiry they do? Okay, so we are an internal auditor. So we have come to audit your particular environment. So we need to understand your design first. So can you please help us to understand your design? So that is a basic thing of inquiry. You do it on the very first day when you go to them. The next thing, what you do is they will show you some design documents which are there already in place. They will try to show you their offboarding and onboarding activities. Then what you do is you observe it. So basically what you do is you basically inspect it. Inspection, you will do inspection, saying that you will review those documents which are there in front of you. The third thing, what you will do is, once they give you an overview of the entire application, you will say that, okay, users are getting created, can you please show us a sample of user where you create in front of us, and we will see how the flow goes, so that we can observe things. So this is all part of observation. So whenever a test of design is there, inquiry, inspection, observation is in place. These three things are in place. So test of design, if you can see the definition, it is nothing but testing to determine whether control is properly designed or not. So such that if it were implemented as design, it would affect operating effectively. So basically, why we do the testing of a design? To determine whether the control is properly designed or not. Because uh, whenever you ask a particular person, like, can you please explain your access provisioning design, he will explain you. So once he explains you, you will come to know, something is missing over here. So people are getting access, but there are no approvals. So where means like, where there is who is the person who is authorizing this particular request? There is nothing over here I have seen. So there is a gap in this particular design. So you have to fill that particular gap. So you will come to know if you see that particular design. So that is the reason the test of design phase is to testing to determine whether its control is properly designed or not. So normally, in a particular project where you need to start from very scratch and you need to prepare all these documents, it might take 6 to 8 months of time. If there are more number of applications, you need to have more number of walkthroughs, more number of design to be understood, and more number of documentation needs to be made, and more number of reviews needs to be made. So it might take 7 to 8 months of time only the project to be in test of design phase, because you are only creating those documents. reviewing, asking your manager or lead to review it, and then putting as an artifact saying that, okay, this is for access provisioning, this is for deprovisioning, this is for password setting, this is for user access review. So when you start it from the scratch, once the design phase is completed, during the design phase, no external auditor will come and review you, will audit you, because they also know that if something is in the design phase, you will have more gaps, and there's no point in come and auditing you because it's still in the design phase. Once the design phase is completed and you say that now we can, our design is entirely, we understood the design, we prepared the work papers for every control, now we get into a separate mode which is called as test of operating effectiveness, which is TOE. Now we will see how the design which we have captured is working, operating effectively at the ground level. Test of operating effectiveness is used to determine if a control is operating as intended when designed. So now you have seen the design, you need to understand whether that design is properly working at the ground level or not. So that is the reason, if you can see, observation would be there in test of operating effectiveness, inspection would be there always, reperformance is there, then recalculation system query. Recalculation is nothing but a finance term, so it's not required here. But reperformance is nothing but we take the samples, we take the evidences, we take some screenshots. This is all about reperformance. And system query is nothing but whenever we ask for a screenshot where we have taken the query from, this is nothing but a system query. So you ask all types of queries. So where did you pull this report from a query? Can you please provide me a screenshot of that query? So all these things are part of test of operating effectiveness. So basically, test of design covers inquiry, inspection, observation. Here you are not testing anything. You are only doing inquiry, inspection, observation, trying to capture whatever you are trying to get it. Test of operating effectiveness is nothing but observation, inspection, reperformance, recalculation, and system query. So to give you a best example of test of design and test of operating effectiveness, whenever you join any company, the very first thing the HR will have is an induction program. So what exactly is the induction program all about? Basically to make an employee aware how they should behave in a company and what are the things they need to follow. What is the policy and procedures for each and everything, how are things need to be followed. There is an HR policy, there is a leave policy, then they will try to make sure that attendance policy, insurance, and then how you need to fill your time sheets. Each and everything they'll try to show you during the induction program. There is a dress code policy as well. So just the HR is trying to make you understand the design over there, but you have not seen that at the ground level. So how you're going to see at the ground level? When you will pass this particular phase, saying that the first day is over, and you'll start going to your particular project where your manager sits or your team sits, then you will start observing things. Then you will come to know how things are operating at the ground level. So many times, like you see that the HR saying that the dress code policy Monday to Thursday is formals and Friday is casuals. If you see someone wearing a casual on Thursday or Wednesday, you say that, boss, HR told me that Monday to Thursday is formals and this particular person is wearing a casual on Thursday. That is not correct. Means here the design is there, but it is not operating effectively at the ground level. Information security policy. During the induction program, they make you aware about information security, awareness, how you need to protect the company's data, confidentiality, everything they'll put it in front of you. But if you see someone breaching that in front of you, someone taking a data into a pen drive, then you see that, array, these things are not working at the ground level. Design is there, but things are not effectively operating at the ground level. So similarly, when you have taken the pain of understanding the entire design and put it in the form of a documentation, now when you start testing it, and you have taken a list of users from the particular control owner or a stakeholder, and you have started testing it, saying that, okay, design क्या बोलता है, design में बोलते हैं कि ये ticketing tool use करना है. Okay, ये particular मैंने sample, I have taken this sample of users like 5 or 10 users, ये यूजर्स के लिए आप मेरे को पॉइंट प्रोसीजर्स दो, saying that every user ticket has been created. Can you please give me a screenshot that for these sample of users a ticket has been created? Okay, once they have given you, okay, for these sample of users, can you please give me a screenshot saying that they have been approved, the request has been approved by an authorized approver? कैन यू प्लीज गिव? जब तुम अप्रूवल का प्रोसेस देखोगे, ओके, इनका अप्रूवल हो गया है, बट तुम देखोगे अरे इस लिस्ट में तो यार एक तीसरा ही नाम है, एंड देन यू सी द डिजाइन, अरे उसमें तो दो ही नाम दिए हैं, एंड तीसरा ही नाम मुझे इसमें दिख रहा है, देन यू स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग, बस can you please explain me why this third name is coming? You told me in the design that only two people are authorized to approve this request. Why this particular third person is coming? So what exactly it is? He will say that no, sir. Actually, we have given some additional person also the responsibility. Okay, then if you have given this additional responsibility to a person, then we have to include that in our design. You should have intimated us as part of the design. Okay, on what basis you determine that that particular person should be the authorized approver? Because he has recently joined and he's a manager. Okay, then we have to make those changes accordingly in the design. So in this way we test it. So basically auditing totally works based on the design that is being existed in the project, and based on that we start testing the effectiveness of it, whether it is properly operating at the ground level or not. So basically this particular question will definitely comes from an interviewer, which is like a very must and should question from an interviewer. He will definitely ask what is TOD and what is TOE. So test of design and test of operating effectiveness, you need to tell the definition, you need to tell the what is part of test of design, what is part of test of operating effectiveness. Test of design: inquiry, observation, inspection. In inquiry, inspection, and observation, and effectiveness is observation, inspection, and reperformance, recalculation, system query. You have to quote some examples as well. As I told you, an example of a dress code policy, information security policy, I have put some examples over here as well. So if you can see here, test of design, the network and application password should be at least 8 characters, alphanumeric, and expire over 90 days. This is a control. Test of design is nothing but inquiring about password settings and policy. And test of operating effectiveness is nothing but obtain the screenshot of that password settings, that the password setting meet the control requirement. So test of operating effectiveness is nothing but checking whether everything is as per the design or not. And test of design is nothing but understanding what the design is all about. So this is what about test of design and test of operating effectiveness. Any questions in this before we move to the about test of design work papers? I'll try to show you some work papers, how exactly it looks like.
ODA and TOE, like both we have there. Like there also we have observation
Yeah, see,
also.
here also we have observation, we have also observation. Okay, so basically both are one and the same, because whenever you do the operating effectiveness, before you ask someone saying that can you please provide me screenshots and all that stuff, you observe things as well. So what exactly is the design part, all these things you'll try to observe as well. Sometimes an stakeholder or a controller will try to share the screen and try to show you this is the way how we do it and all that stuff. So that is also a kind of observation you do it. And also you will try to inspect few things as part of the effectiveness. Like example, if you want to test something, you will try to refer to some document saying that okay, this is the way how I need to test it. Then you take the samples and you start testing it.
Or
Yes, any questions?
no.
Yeah, mind.
Yes, संतोष जी। अभी हम लोगों ने अभी फॉर एग्जांपल मैं एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर हूँ, मैंने लाइक एक बैंक, तो उस टाइम क्या एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर को उनका आर्गेनाइज ईमेल आईडी क्रिएट करेगा या हमारा वो लाइक करंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है ना, हमारा वही ईमेल आईडी, लाइक वही ईमेल आईडी यूज करना है?
एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर इफ वो लोग आते हैं तो they will try to use their only email id, so and it's also responsible for us to create their email ids and then physical ids, everything we need to create, because whenever they intimate us saying that we will start coming from January, they will intimate 15 days and 1 month before, saying that we need to start auditing you. So we might be coming in the first week of January. So initially we will be working remotely. We will not be coming to your office, but later on, as the date approaches, we might need to come to your office and sit, because there might be a case where you will not get the information from the right stakeholder. You need to go and sit beside him and try to get the required information. So what you will do is, as soon as some auditors inform you that they are going to come in the first week of January, you as an internal auditor ensure that you prepare their ID cards, you inform the admin team that these are the 5 people who will be coming, so they would require access till 6 months or 5 months, and then you take the necessary approvals and keep their ID cards ready. Create email IDs, because if some communication needs to be sent within to them, where your email ID gets blocked to an external vendor, then you have to ensure that you create an email ID where you will start sending some documents through email, through that particular communication only. So in that way, you have to ensure that you create their email IDs as well.
ओके।
Okay. Let me stop the recording.